Thank you so much.
All right. Now, just for purposes of clarity, maybe you can give us a short highlight on what exactly the Youth Fund does.
Thank you so much. Youth Fund is a state corporation that was created purposely to empower the Kenyan youth. We do that empowerment through credit facilities and through business support programs such as training, coaching, and business incubation. We've been there for the last 10 years, and so far the fund has been able to disperse a total of 12.4 billion Kenya shillings. And the youth who have benefited from the funding are about 1.6 million Kenyan youth. A total of 4.8 youth have also benefited through other programs that we have at the fund.
Okay. Now, so how exactly does one as a youth access this fund? What's the criteria in detail? Maybe you can bring us up to speed when it comes to that.
The fund is a government fund. It's money available for the youth of this country. Therefore, every youth that's of the age between 18 and 35 has a right to access this money. This money is available to every part of the country. How the youth access this money is first to approach our officers who are stationed in every constituency. These officers are required to take the youth through what we do, the kind of products available for them. And out of that, the youth, of course, gets interest and then gets an application form through those officers. Once the form is filled and all the requirements are met, the form comes to the head office and it's approved, and thereafter we disperse the money to the youth beneficiary accounts.
Okay, so what type of projects do you offer?
We have different products. The project that we finance is not our option. It's the option that is considered by the youth. So the youth has the business idea that he presents to us for the purpose of financing. And we finance anything that the youth presents as long as it is meant for entrepreneurship.
All right.
Yes.
You being the CEO and having worked in that particular sector for a while, what would you say are the most famous, or rather the most common ideas that come forward to the Youth Fund?
One thing that we have observed at the fund is that the Kenyan youth are very creative. And out of that creativity, we have a wide range of business ideas coming to us. We have young people in manufacturing, young people in transport sector. Now we are financing talent. Any youth who has talent and wants to make money out of it, we still finance that. So we have a diverse range of fields that entice the youth. And as we don't have any limits, as long as it's an idea that we can appraise and determine that it makes money for the young people, we can simply come in to finance and support the youth to realize their dreams.
All right, now that which brings us now down to the qualifications. Well, how does one even qualify as a youth? Yes, you've said you finance talent, you can finance a youth coming from the manufacturing industry. So these are all different, very diverse ideas, yeah? But what qualifies one to actually receive money from the Youth Fund?
We have different products available. Broadly, our products can be categorized into two. We have group loans and we have individual loans.
All right.
Young people can come together as a group, get themselves registered, and once they've been registered and they have that certificate of registration and a bank account, they qualify to access money. The main qualification for the Kenyan youth to access money is between being in the age of 18 and 35 years of age. Of course, we are not closing completely out those ones who are above 35. If we have a group of 10 people and 7 of them are youth and 3 of them are above the age of 35, they still qualify as long as the group leadership is by the youth. Now, individual loans, we have different individual loans. We have the LPO financing. For you to qualify for LPO financing, you must have a valid LPO or contract with a public entity or a private entity that is renowned. So if you have that and we establish that the LPO is valid, then you qualify to access 80% of the LPO value. Or we have VUCA loan. The VUCA loan is purposely meant for business expansion. A youth who has been in business for at least 6 months, that's the qualification, and we are able to demonstrate from the bank statement that you have a repayment ability or you've been making transactions. We can finance you up to 5 million based on the volume of your transactions. The youths who have completely not been in business before and they want to begin the business, they can access business startup loans,
All right.
which is up to 500,000. So different products that we have, of course, require different requirements.
Yeah.
To mention for the Talanta loan product, we have identified that young people are making a lot of money through their talent.
Their talent and their passion.
So Youth Fund decided to, from the start of 2017-18 financial year, we decided to have the Talanta loan product purposely to empower the young people with the talent. So there's a young person there who has a talent and wants to make money out of it, and they can present a proposal to us that demonstrates how he or she will exploit the talent and make money. We finance up to 2 million Kenyan shillings.
All right. For what I'm taking, and I don't know if this is true, please, I stand guided. It's easier for the youth to access the loans or to access funds from Youth Fund when they are in a group?
Or when youth are in a group. Actually, we have made it simpler these days. For a long time, it was the requirement was 15 members to qualify. Now we've made it simpler that only 5, as long as you are registered and you have a certificate from the social office, you qualify for the money. Now, why it is simpler, and of course, the original intention of the funds was to mobilize the young people of this country into a common thinking of doing business. It's easier to access money through groups because completely we do not require any collateral. We make use of the social collateral. By virtue of you being in a group, we believe that if one can default, then we can be able to trace the repayment through the others.
All right. And how long does it take? What's the period it takes until the funds are released from the Youth Fund?
Recently, we reviewed our customer service charter, and we have made a commitment that for all group loans, they must be processed within a period of 2 weeks. For all other loans which require security, because the process of asset perfection is longer, we take up to 3 weeks maximum.
All right.
But again, there are some instances where you find the youths have not been able to comply. We do not have access to all documentations, and that one delays the process.
Of course it does, yes,
Yes.
because the risk is higher. So now, the Youth Fund has released, it has been around for the past 10 years.
Yes.
And you have helped a number of 1.4 million youth and released about 12.4 billion shillings, yes? Would you say you're doing well, or have you reached your goal? Because I'm sure you have goals as the CEO. So have you reached your goals, or where are you standing?
The Kenyan youth population currently is about 17 million.
Which is a big number.
Which is a big number.
Yes.
Actually, Kenya generally is a youthful nation.
Yes.
The median age of the Kenyan population is 19.7. Out of the 50 million Kenyans today, 80% is below the age of 35. Those between the age of 18 and 35 are 35%. Meaning that 1.4 number that we have been able to disperse money to is a very small number. Actually, it's less than 5%. Meaning that our penetration is still low. And this year, in the next financial year, we have managed to convince government and treasury to allocate us more resources so that we are able to enhance our penetration.
All right.
But I agree that the number that we have so far reached is small.
It is small. Now, is it? Could this be because not many young people out there know about Youth Fund?
Definitely yes. Or when we came in, I came into Youth Fund in the year 2016 November.
All right.
And we did a survey around that time. And the majority of the Kenyan youth did not understand completely about this government program that's meant to support the young people. Last year, we partnered with NACADA and NCIC, and we went around all the 47 counties of this country. One of the key things that we are taking to the youth is understanding what we do at the funds and how they can benefit from some of the programs that the government has. And from that sensitization last year, I can tell you this year, we are over 70% of our target. We have more youth coming, borrowing, and we have more youth repaying because, again, repayment depends largely on the extent of their sensitization.
All right. All right, and surprisingly, this is the first time it's happening on Business Inside. We have a caller. A very good afternoon.
Pardon?
A very good afternoon to you.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. My name is Wafula.
Yes. Hi, Wafula. Talk to us.
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm calling to contribute on this issue.
All right.
And actually, I'm a youth aged 25.
All right.
And I would like to contradict the one on stage. Well, he says that for you to get a loan, you don't really need the collateral. But actually, I was in the Busia office, and I was told that I either come with my parents' a title, the land title, so that I can get that loan. And also for the groups, you're supposed to be together for almost 3 months. You must have a file whereby you have all your group meetings, all the contributions, and how are they called after meetings? I'm sorry. After meetings, there are those things that you file.
The minutes.
You must produce them.
Minutes?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, minutes. All of those, they are required.
All right.
And you must be in that location for over 6 months for you to get that loan. So it's really not that easy as he's put it. It's not really that.
Okay. Oh, luckily he was done by the time the phone cut. And Wafula, this is your lucky day because we have the CEO in studio and he's going to clarify and expound on that. So, Mr. CEO, you've heard what Wafula has to say. He says it's contradicting and it's not as easy to get a loan as it's easier said, but it's not done that way. So maybe you can help us with that, help us comprehend.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Wafula, for the question. There are two issues raised by Wafula. One is that you must be in existence as a group for 6 months for you to qualify. No. You must not be in existence for 6 months to qualify for the youth fund money. You can have yourself registered today and tomorrow you apply for the money. So Wafula, if our officers on the ground are giving you that information, you can confirm the same from the head office.
All right.
Number two, Wafula mentioned about security. When the youth fund was started, youth fund, it's worth noting that the money we have is a revolving fund. It's money that must be repaid so that the other youths of this country are also able to also benefit. Now, when we started at the fund, actually there were no collaterals. We were giving out money without any security.
All right.
But the default rate was very high.
The defaulters were quite a number.
The default was very high. So what we did is, for group loans, absolutely there's no security, but for individual loans, and I can give you the reasons why perhaps commercial banks are not able to finance the youth of this country is because the youth populace is considered risky. The reason being the youths are on transition. Today you are giving a youth money in Busia, like Wafula. Tomorrow is in Langata, and you can't trace him. You know, there are a lot of complications within the youth populace that makes the fund, that made the fund lose a lot of money. I can give you the statistics for the LPO financing. Absolutely, any youth who had an LPO of 20 million Kenya shillings value came to the youth fund and we financed.
Okay.
The only security we had was the commitment of the procuring entity, like the county government, committing that, yes, we'll pay part of your money. But we lost close to 100 million Kenya shillings through that.
Which is
the county governments went against the commitment. They didn't pay the youth fund. They paid the youth directly. And I can tell you, the Kenyan youth, some of them are very good. But some youth, they see 5 million in their account for the first time. They think that they never become poor again, and they disappear completely. So the challenges we had for group loans are those ones, the repayment. That's the time we began introducing the security. But just to clarify on this, you do not have to have security for you to qualify for the money. You can get that security from your parents, the way Wafula is mentioned about it. You can get it from your friends. It must not be your security. It's only us to retain that as a guarantee that the money will be repaid so that the other youths are able to benefit.
I mean, it's only fair. Now, we are shutting down, Mr. Moriasi. We have run out of time. And before I thank you for being here, what is the way forward when it comes to Youth Fund and the youth? What is the way forward? We've spoken about so many obstacles. We've had a caller who's, of course, also aired his sentiments. So what is the way forward?
Oh, allow me to mention that apart from the Youth Fund, there are so many other government programs that are in place to empower the Kenyan youth. We are only a portion of the government initiatives to empower the Kenyan youth. I'm sure you must have heard of the Ajira Digital, where the youths are enabled to apply for jobs online. I'm sure you have heard of the NYS that recruits over 30,000 youth every year, taken through the paramilitary training and ultimately specializing on vocational trainings. There are also other programs we have. Now, the way forward for Youth Fund is this. Youth Fund currently, our repayment is 78%. By the end of 2016, the repayment was 64%. So we have worked very hard to improve it. We want to make the fund very stable so that every Kenyan youth has a chance to benefit from that fund. So we are very sure of having a very stable fund going forward, and we're very sure of reaching out to majority of the Kenyan youth.
All right. And we'll be taking that to the bank. We'll stock you and get answers to each and every question that we have when it comes to youth entrepreneurship, Youth Fund, and empowering of the youth in this country. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Moriasi, for gracing us with your presence. That was Mr. Moriasi, the CEO of Youth Fund. Just came in to clarify some areas that needed clarification when it comes to Youth Fund. My name is Nina Shaban. Thank you very much for keeping it Ebru TV. This was Business Insight. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thankfully, it is raining.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's raining, so we are lucky. We are lucky. Yes, the sun has been very unforgiving. Good afternoon, guys. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you so much.